she has quite deliberately caused doubt, and she has created mischief, knowing that it would damage the royal family, which would show a level of spite and malice that is truly not only sick, but evil. And the alternative is that she didn't give birth to those children.
Breaking right now, new question marks over the veracity of Princess Lilibet's birth certificate, and it also raises serious concerns about whether Meghan Markle has been honest with the public about her daughter's birth. We're going to get reaction from Lady Colin Campbell in just 1 minute. But first, let me show you these new claims from the royal YouTuber Paula M.
Available to me is to use the birth certificates that are out there in the public domain posted by the newspapers. I want you to pay attention to this number right here. The 105-202, the 105-2021, 163-206. That number is incredibly important. This is directly from the government's website, guys. And this is reviewing a birth certificate, birth area code. Okay? And then it tells you what it is. It's the first 3 digits. You remember the 105 that you saw? Is the birth area code. It tells you in which state the child was born. We have seen that in Lilibet's birth certificate. It states that her number is 105. So surely that is California, right? It turns out that California is 104. And let's not forget that Archie is 6th in line to the throne, and Lilibet is 7th in line to the throne, which is insane. So now that I've shown you that the area code for the state of California, for any child born in the state of California, is 104, and I've shown you that Lily's is 105. In any case, there are too many discrepancies in this document for Lilibet to be in the line of succession.
So, Lady Colin Campbell, this certainly seems like a new revelation from Paula M. Of course, could you say, would there be a clerical error made with the birth certificate? Possibly. But Paula M's suggestion seems to be that perhaps this child was born in another state. What do you make of it?
Well, I understand that 105 is Colorado.
Yes, yes.
So, and Meghan and Harry have asserted that the child was born, I forget the name of what the hospital was, in Santa Barbara. And I mean, they came up with an elaborate story. Remember how Meghan was very peckish on the way to Lily's delivery, and therefore they had to stop for hot tacos or some such thing to aid the delivery of the baby. Well, there are a lot of disparities, as there have been with Archie's birth, and I think good on Paula for having come up with that. There has been talk. Oh, Birkenhead. Oh my dear. You know, Dan, it's just amazing. I don't know if you're aware of it, Dan, but even though Demon is 32 years old and Misha, I am still pregnant with him. And it's the bump keeps on coming and going.
I mean, it's all because they did claim, didn't they, that she was born at Santa Barbara Cottage Hospital. I think yes, that was the claim at 11:40 Pacific time on the 4th of June, 2021.
and that the female obstetrician who assisted with the birth then shut down her practice immediately at the end of that month, and any of her patients who were relying on her were left in the lurch. And she's also married to a specialist in eggs and things, and I forget the term used, but in terms of designer babies. So it's a husband and wife team. There are, again, a lot of inconsistencies. And my own feeling is that it is in the interests of this, not only in the interests, it is the right of the citizens of all of the countries of which the king is monarch, and of which those children are entitled to a place in the line of succession, that all these disparities be cleared up. All other royal babies in the line of succession have had their births signed off. Princess Eugenie, Princess Beatrice, Sarah York, Diana Wales, Catherine Wales, you name it. Everybody knows where the babies came from, at what time, with proof. The only two children that there is no proof for is Prince Archie Bunker and Princess Lily. You better hope that she's really entitled to what they claim she's entitled to. And I think it is the right of all citizens of the United Kingdom, Jamaica, the Isle of Man, you name it, all the countries that Charles and all the realms, that Canada, Australia, New Zealand, you and I have two skins in this game, because we're both dual nationals. Most people only have one skin in the game, but we are doubly entitled to know that those children are rightfully in the line of succession. And whether it's one of two things. Either Meghan and Harry have I'm trying to find a legal way of putting this. In fact, I'm not going to put it. I'll just say the alternative. And the alternative is that she gave birth to them, and she has quite deliberately caused doubt, and she has created mischief, knowing that it would damage the royal family, which would show a level of spite and malice that is truly not only sick, but evil. And the alternative is that she didn't give birth to those children. And this is a massive obfuscation and a massive sleight of hand. And we don't know what it is. And quite frankly, there is evidence both ways. But the disturbing thing is that there is so much evidence from, and I have spoken to doctors, nurses, many women who've given birth to children, and all of them say the same thing. Those photographs of Meghan and the way the baby bump performed are totally unexpected, and they're not aware of any baby, any pregnant woman who is genuinely pregnant, having her bump perform the way Meghan's has performed. And
yeah, and Lady C, can we just talk about the line of succession? Because look, I've just got the royal family website up. So there it is, in black and white. They're still on there at number 5, the Duke of Sussex. Number 6, Prince Archie of Sussex. Number 7, Princess Lilibet of Sussex. Now, we know, Lady C, that King Charles finds this uncomfortable, shall we say, but believes he has bigger fish to fry and doesn't want to spark any more warfare. However, King William, a future King William, I should say, Prince William, of course, at the moment, potentially would. Isn't it time for there to be a genuine debate about the line of succession? Because even if you put the questions of whether Meghan actually bore these children to one side, Harry has now admitted on the record that he will not allow them ever to come to the United Kingdom. Well, some royal families would not allow young princes or princesses to be in the line of succession if they were not educated in the country of which one day they might serve. Should we not be having a national debate about this?
The difficulty, Dan, with having a national debate is that we are a society in flux. We are a society which even Keir Starmer has admitted is in danger of being occupied by nothing but, well, being distorted by the presence of too many strangers. Because I'm quoting him, by the way. This is not my opinion. This is his opinion. But he makes a valid point that we are, as a society, we are a society that is in large measure troubled at the moment with our identity as a society being called into question, and being not only called into question, but being actively chipped away at by various elements and various people who are happy to come to this country and happy to enjoy all the benefits of this country, but they do not want to assimilate into this country. They want us to so really they've escaped from their countries, but they want to bring their culture and their habits to this country and achieve all of the worldly and financial benefits of British civilization and alter it so that it becomes something unrecognizable. So with all of that going on, if there should be a debate about the rights of succession, etc., I think it would be so incendiary and it would unleash so many destructive elements, and you would have the Dr. Sholas and the Narinda Kaurs and Kerrs, or whatever her name is, and all of those people would be jumping on the bandwagon, and they would be, and the next thing you know is we would be debating whether we should have a monarchy or not, and then we would be debating that there would be pushing for, well, why don't we have Sadiq Khan as the president of the United Kingdom? And then you'd have somebody from Africa or the West Indies saying, oh, no, we need somebody who's African or somebody who's West Indian. And I think sometimes it's best to let sleeping dogs lie. And there is also another difficulty, and the other difficulty is, say, Sweden, the king can, with a stroke of the pen, do things that the British king cannot do, because we have the we have dominions and we have realms of which the king is head of state,
Yes.
which also have a say in these
Yes.
matters.
No, I know. And the thing is, Lady C, I understand that you don't necessarily want to play around with this. Of course, you ideally don't want to have to play around with it at all. And by the way, I was in Trafalgar Square in London on Saturday where the anti-monarchist protests were holding their big annual day. And let me tell you, it was pathetic. There was no big groundswell in Great Britain. And of course, the YouGov polling, which we've seen this week, actually proves that the royal family remains popular. It's Prince Harry and Meghan that don't. But, and there is a but here, if there were to be an almighty tragedy, and remember Queen Elizabeth II was so concerned about this, Lady C, that she warned Prince William to stop taking your family in your helicopter, stop traveling together on the same plane. But he hasn't stopped doing that. I mean, he's got the helicopter, but they still travel together on the same plane. We are only one terrible tragedy away from the end of the British monarchy, because the public simply would not accept the concept anymore of King Harry and Queen Meghan, would they? So you've got to think about those things. But first, Father's Day is just around the corner, and let's be honest, Dad does not need another coffee mug or pair of socks. It's time to give him something he will actually use. Meet the Chairman Pro from Manscaped, the perfect Father's Day gift for the dad who deserves to look and feel his best. This isn't just any razor. The Chairman Pro is a high-tech, dad-approved grooming upgrade. It's an electric face shaver that can tackle up to 5 days of growth and features 2 interchangeable blade heads. So whether he's cleaning up for golf, dinner, or just another accidental nap on the recliner, make sure he does it with style. The Chairman Pro is perfect for the dad who taught you how to shave and now needs a reminder of how it's really done. So have him join the over 12 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped. Use the code OUTSPOKEN and you will get 15% off your entire order at manscaped.com. But goodness me, I use Manscaped. I want to tell you what's so incredible about this product. The Skin Safe 4-blade foil is for that super close shave, while the Skin Safe stubble trimmer is for that sophisticated 5 o'clock shadow look. They're interchangeable and both are designed to help you reduce razor burn and irritation so skin feels smooth and comfortable after every shave. It is waterproof, so it can be used in the shower or rinsed under the sink after use, making cleanup a breeze. And since Dad is always telling you to charge your phone, right, now he can take his own advice. Thanks to the digital battery display, it showcases the battery level so he knows when it's time to recharge. And with up to 75 minutes of runtime on a single charge, Dad can take his time getting the perfect shave. Manscaped comes with a 2-year warranty on all powered devices, giving you peace of mind with every use. So get your dad a Father's Day gift he'll actually use, the Chairman Pro. For 15% off, go to manscaped.com and just use the code OUTSPOKEN at checkout. You get it off your entire order, by the way, at www.manscaped.com using the code OUTSPOKEN at checkout. But now, back to the show.
Well, I think, quite frank, I agree with you, Dan. It's an issue, but I think that people who understand the danger of having this subject debated are of the view that there is very little likelihood of Harry and Meghan ever standing a chance of acceding to the throne, despite the optimism of certain people and the hopes and desires of certain people, who have expressed the view that Harry and Meghan are one plane crash away from the throne. Or was it a helicopter crash? But anyway, whatever it was, one crash away from the throne.
Well, yeah, the late Queen, I think she was particularly worried about helicopters because obviously they are more dangerous. But at the same time, Lady C, I mean, plane crashes do happen. Thankfully, not very often. But, you wouldn't see Queen Elizabeth II on the same plane as the then Prince of Wales, Prince Charles, because she understood the risks.
Yes, and I'm old enough to remember when Charles and Diana were going to Australia and William was a baby. And Diana dug her heels in and said she would only go if the baby accompanied them, and they went on the same flight. The Queen was dead against it initially, but gave way. And William is his mother's son. William is also obstinate, and William believes that he is a very fine helicopter pilot, which he is, and that nothing will happen on his watch. Well, remember a few weeks ago in New York, there was that tragedy with, I think, the Spanish family, and he was something to do with, I forget what, something Samsung or something. Do you know what
I do remember that crash, and
yeah.
and they all died, and so too. The Leicester City boss, famously, Lady C. You know, they're very dangerous.
It turns out in both cases, it was not pilot error, it was mechanical malfunction. Well, there's always the possibility, if not even though there is not the probability, that there will be a mechanical malfunction. But William has been warned of this, and William ignores it. So,
yeah,
but of course,
exactly, which is why I believe there does need to be a discussion about the line of succession. But I fear that you're right in so many ways, because then you'd also have other people saying, well, Prince Andrew shouldn't be in the line of succession, and it opens up a whole can of worms, does it not? Lady C, I wanted to move on to something fascinating that Alex Phillips said on Outspoken this week. And it hasn't had much pickup because there's been so much else going on, and this is obviously historic, but very fascinating. She's a very well-sourced, well-connected independent journalist, and she's talking about the fact that Meghan Markle purposefully got Prince Harry to include information about illegal drug use in his bombshell autobiography, Spare. Have a look at what she said, and I'll get your reaction off the back.
I just want to tell you something, Dan.
Please.
Just us, okay, and everyone watching and listening. I don't know if this stands up, but it's what I heard from a source in which I'd be very confident, who had suggested that the inclusion of all of the drug taking in Spare might have been at her insistence, because when something like that is documented, when it then comes to later divorce proceedings and who gets custody of children and so on and so forth, it is a useful slice of evidence to have at your disposal. Now, I don't know if that's true at all, but it has been suggested to me by somebody well placed whose opinion I would trust on these matters.
Fascinating. I mean, I would not doubt it, actually, because this is a very crafty woman who is trying to put all of the puzzle pieces together so that if the marriage does end, or maybe it's not a matter of if, Alex, maybe it's a matter of when the marriage does end, she is in the pole position to make him look bad and also for her to make the money. So that's really fascinating intelligence. Fascinating, ladies, wasn't it, from Alex Phillips, but also incredibly disturbing.
Well, Dan, you know, Gina Nelthorpe-Cowan said, who was Meghan's premarital manager, said that Meghan was primarily a businesswoman. So basically, it's all about the money. And she has her eye on the baseline, and also she's extremely strategic. And Nikki Pretty said that Meghan was very strategic. And people who've known Meghan all her life have confirmed that Meghan is extremely strategic. And she goes into situations with her eyes wide open as to what these possible outcomes can be, and what is desirable for her, and what benefits she can reap, and what rewards she can reap from each situation. So I would not be at all surprised that Alex Phillips information is absolutely spot on, because Meghan has undermined every area of solidity and every area of Harry's life, that he had connections to other people, where she has isolated him effectively, totally. And and like many good Machiavellian narcissists with sociopathic traits exhibited, she has done it with his willing approval and his connivance. And I wouldn't be surprised, because let's remember, Vanity Fair got the information that Meghan had representatives hawking her post-divorce book to publishers. And they haven't sued. Harry and Meghan hasn't sued. She can't sue because Vanity Fair will have made sure that it had ironclad information in the event that.
But not only has she just not sued, Lady C, she hasn't even denied that claim. That's the thing that is most astonishing. And it really is shocking. It's completely shocking. Also completely shocking this week, Lady C, and it made me absolutely furious, although not surprised. The New York Times, which just seems to hate everything connected to Great Britain and England and the monarchy and the royal family. They are very pro Harry and Meghan. Meghan gave them the interview for With Love Meghan. She also previously wrote for them about her miscarriage. So there's definitely an ongoing relationship between the Markles and the New York Times. But they write what they claim to be, Lady C, a news analysis piece about the rift in the royal family, but completely blame King Charles and Prince William, and called Prince William Workshy, which is about 10 years old, and he's completely turned things around. So they're just looking for a reason to attack him. And with King Charles, I found it absolutely astonishing that what they're basically saying is unless he bows down to Prince Harry and brings Meghan and Harry into the fold, his reign is going to be written off as a historic disaster.
Well, of course, they don't know what they're talking about, but they have a motive. They have a strong financial motivation for having come up with this claptrap. And the strong financial motivation is, if you go cast your mind back to a few months ago, Harry gave an interview on their summit thing with this guy about...
Yes, the Deal Book Summit. Yep. Well, he was actually really prickly, wasn't he? But again, it was one of his only recent interviews.
Yeah, but Harry will doubtless, because they being the New York Times, they have summits to push. They have events where if they're not going to get William and they're not going to get the king, but they will or can get Harry. So this is really a very interesting approach that they have taken, because the average American is not going to think too deeply. They're just going to, oh, well, he's a member of the royal family. And, you know, they're not going to think, well, of course, they wouldn't be able to get anybody more senior than Harry. So there's a strong financial motivation for it. There's also a political motivation for it. And there's also personal motivation. I mean, saying that William is work shy is an accusation that goes back 10 or 15 years. Mm-hmm. But everybody knows that Harry is work shy.
Yeah, he's the most work shy man. And actually, Meghan's work shy as well, despite her claiming to get her hands dirty. What I found so astonishing, though, Lady C, is and this is when you know they're not a news organization. I know everyone has known this for a long time. The New York Times are a propaganda operation. That they're a left-wing a left-wing rag these days, despite their reputation. They really are. But what I found so hilarious, Lady C, is it's so difficult to find any British person who really knows about the royal family to comment in the way that they wanted. So they had to turn to Peter Hunt, the former BBC royal correspondent, who said, when history comes to be written about the king, this will reflect badly on him. He represents an institution that is about family unity and fostering forgiveness. His role is to bring people together, and yet he can't bring people together on his doorstep. And I just think, Peter Hunt, you're a complete irrelevance, and shame on the New York Times for stooping
But
to these levels.
Also, the New York Times shows how ridiculous it is, because if the fact of the matter is, Harry is the one who has betrayed the family. Harry is the one who has attacked the family. Harry is the one, with Meghan, who have lost their popularity by telling lies about the royal family. And they have exposed themselves as being cheats and liars and grifters and frauds, as Bill Simmons of Spotify pointed out. And the fact of the matter is, to say that Charles's legacy would be that he failed to forgive the Viper, so that the Viper could then continue with his disloyal wife, to continue to undermine the interests of the British monarchy, is ludicrous. I mean, what about the King's Trust, the Prince's Trust? Charles has done in his lifetime, just with the Prince's Trust alone, he has made a significant difference to far more young people in this country and in the Commonwealth than any American president has made in the whole of the American presidency. And that is a legacy that is well worth considering. And I would include John F. Kennedy in that number, because if you remember, he had the Peace Corps, and they did a lot of good for a lot of young people all over the world. But Charles has done, through the Prince's Trust, now the King's Trust, alone, and it's just that alone. So Charles's legacy as both Prince of Wales and King, I think his primary legacy is going to be the Prince's Trust and the King's Trust, and all the work that he did to give young people and young disadvantaged people a platform, some of whom have gone on to achieve great things. Idris Elba is just one of them. I mean, the list of people he's given an opportunity to is endless. Many of them have not become famous, but some have become famous. So when the New York Times comes up with things like that, it simply shows that they are a propagandist rag. But if people think it's just pushing left-wing stuff, it's not. It's that their circulation has problems, and they are trying to keep themselves as a prestigious publication, and so they want a royal link. And their only royal link is scraping the bottom of the barrel with ganja-loving Harry. I'm looking for a friend. I'm looking for a friend.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant. But Lady C, I'm so glad you mentioned JFK, because, well, can we just look at this picture again? I mean, just wonderful. Wonderful royal history in that picture. And my God, we miss her, don't we? Lady Colin Campbell, do make sure you subscribe to Lady C on YouTube for so much more of all of this. Of course, as I was saying, her most recent episode does a real deep dive into those fascinating correlations between the Beckhams and the royal family at the moment. And if you want first access to the Royal Uncancelled After Show every day, then please sign up to my Substack at www.outspoken.com.